By the way, Dr. Richard Lapchick, pioneering social activist and sports sociologist, brand new grandfather. Congratulations on that. We're talking graduation rates now because you assign grades to professional leagues. The NCAA has the APR. They used to have the graduation rate per se. The yardsticks that we use, what do they say? Because we have seen in our polling that fans saw the gap between white and black athletic graduation rates is the single biggest problem. Something certainly to be optimistic about. What is your take on the trend in graduation rates and how valid a yardstick we're looking at?
Well, I think it's the best yardstick we have, but what it doesn't show us is what the athletes are studying. Are they in classes that have a professor who's favorable to them, is going to help them out in some way by giving them a better grade, keeping them eligible? Are there majors that athletes can be in that would be easier than other and not as rigorous? But I think the key thing here is that the gap we're talking about, just so everybody knows, is there's a 28% gap between black and white college basketball players and a 20% gap between black and white college football players. And I think on top of all this, one thing we haven't yet talked about is the media. The media is as white as any other institution in the country. Between 94% of our sports editors are white men, 88% of our columnists are white men, 87% of our reporters are white men, and they are writing about and shaping the image of these black athletes and sometimes have no understanding about what they're covering.
That gap between white and black athletes, if we're going to get to the media and look at the numbers, is that the graduation rate gap, has that been consistent, closing, widening?
Well, the amazing thing is the graduation rates of both black and white athletes have been going up over the years, but the gap between the two has increased.
All right, let's put some numbers up. Let's talk about graduation rates. Randy, we have yours from your time at the University of Miami. We can put them up on the screen. We compared your graduation rates, which were very favorable compared to the average in FBS, the old Division 1A. What we don't have up there is win-loss percentage. The question then comes up, we see that graphically represented, the average and how in your time there you were above that. Can you win well enough to fill a stadium and still graduate your players at a rate like that?
I think you can, but I think the thing you have to be careful about is what you're trying to get done first. You can go either you go for the winning standpoint or you go what's best interest for the kids, because you go into homes every day as a coach and you promise the family, the moms, the dads, the grandmothers that you're going to graduate the kids. That's the one thing you always say in the home. So if you take an approach and given time, I think you can do both, if given time now.
How much time?
Don't know.
And how much of that has to come from the president's office?
It depends. I'll put it to you. It depends on what's expected at that point in time by that university. What depends on, that's what it comes down to, because no matter what happens, graduation, the reason why it's so big to me in graduating the student athletes, as I call them student athletes, is because my 8th year in the University of Miami, I had a young man come in my office named Dwayne Starks. Dwayne Starks played for the Baltimore Ravens, played for the Arizona Cardinals, and was at New England Patriots. Walked in my office, "How you doing, Dwayne? How you doing?" He said, "I'm doing all right, coach. I feel down." I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, I'm not playing this year, I'm rehabbing." I said, what happened? He said, "Well, do you realize I make $6 million for just rehabbing this knee? And I just figured out I don't have a degree and I'm done." It hit me just like that. Yeah, he said, "I'm done." He said, I won't play no more football. I don't have a degree. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I can live off the interest of my money, but then I got kids. What am I gonna do for them? How is this gonna work out?" So I grabbed his arm, went straight down to academics and say, "Listen, we got to put him in class, get him graduated." He went to summer and came in December, January, he graduated from the University of Miami. And I said to myself at that point in time, a young man who makes that kind of money, don't have nothing to do with themselves and don't have their degree, because I've seen it plenty of times, we've all seen it. But my job at that point in time is to make sure I do those type of things and win games. But I might have went it the wrong way. I should have went winning. I probably have a job now. But like you said earlier, me, myself, I'm proud of what I've done at the University of Miami, because that's what I believe in.
John, we've got your graduation rates. I remember a couple of years ago you were on OTL.
I've just barely graduated myself, so let me see these things.
But I remember you were fairly new into your tenure at Memphis, and you might recall this. You made the promise on the air. So by the time I leave Memphis, I'm going to have a 100% graduation rate. And there it is. It hit 100% one year, and there you are against the average of Division I college basketball. Of course, the way the things are calculated, if you have one-and-done players, obviously it works against you. What do you think of that scorekeeping, the way it can reflect on coaches and players?
Let me say this first. I look at this from my own background. My sisters and I are the first college educated in our family. So when I go in and I recruit a young man, and I'm looking at this young man is going to be the first college graduate in his family. That means something to me, because it meant something to me. And I look at some of the kids and I'll say, you know what? Because of his background, like my own, I was never able to look at being a lawyer or a doctor because I had none in our family. There were no professionals in my family. They were all laborers. My sisters and I had an opportunity to go to college. My hope is as I bring players in, some of them go right to the league. And if they leave after a year or two, they reach their dream. But we've graduated over 80% of the kids that stayed 4 years. The others went and became professional. My hope for these kids that come in, I have Brandon Knight. Brandon Knight's a 4-3 student, gets all A's all the time, scored a 91 on a test. Still an A, was mad, got a 91. But my hope for the kids that are first generation is that maybe they're not going to be a lawyer or a doctor, but their children now, because they're a college graduate, have that opportunity. And I'm proud to say my daughter Erin is going to be a doctor, I hope in 2 or 3 years. She's going to Wake Forest. She'll be the first doctor in my family. So when you look at, I'm not looking to say I want everybody to have all A's. I want everybody to be the best student. I don't mind if a kid's a little marginal, but I watch him and he's a good kid and he's got a good heart and he's willing to work. So yeah, I want to have a 100% graduation rate. You know whose ego that's for? Me.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is, I want them to enjoy learning, learn about reading, get into good habits. And so, you know, we've tried, and I'm like, Randy, I want every kid. We bring kids back, but I'll tell you, not everybody is born on third base. Some kids are born outside the stadium. Somebody better give them a chance and give them an opportunity.